Hi there everyone, Life DIY Josie here. Welcome back to my channel. Today is Thrifty Thursday when I do a throwback of one low budget idea every Thursday. Here's the picture on the lower left corner of this video of the finished project. I am trying to pick out the paper pad because I am going to be decorating the back of this chipboard pumpkin that I purchased from the Dollar Tree. Now this paper pad is from Michael's and I purchased this last year. It's called the Harvest Boutique and I love the colors of this one. I purchased it during their Hot Buy sale and I picked out this floral pattern here with the flowers painted in teal, because if you notice the pumpkin that I newly painted on the lower left of this frame, I want to mimic that color. So what I'm going to be doing here is I am going to be tracing this pumpkin. First, I am removing the raffia from the front of this chipboard pumpkin. I'm not going to be removing the metal leaf because probably, who knows, next year I will be decorating in orange and I didn't want to ruin the design on the front. And my apologies, my voice is a little huskier than normal, although my voice is normally husky, but I've had some asthma flare up again, so excuse my voice. So I'm just going to be cutting it. Next, I'm applying Mod Podge onto the wood chip. And I'm going to be placing my cutout paper pad on top of it, and I'm just going to smooth it out. Then I'm just going to be adding a little bit of Mod Podge on the areas that I think would need a little bit more. I'm going to be using this other chipboard sign and removing the saying or the words Harvest Blessings. Just carefully remove this. I don't know if you're aware that you can remove that piece. It's not painted on top of the picture, or in that case the sunflowers. It was just painted on or printed on another piece of cardboard, and that they cut out and they also glued onto the painted chipboard. I'm going to use that other one for another project. I have not been able to see or find any of those metal words or tin words that they have at the Dollar Tree that they sell for $3 in a pack, so I figured I can improvise and create my own sign. So I just hot glued it on top of the paper pad and voila. Isn't that amazing? I just want to mention also that covering with paper pad is something that I have done in the past, and also I have used fabric as well, not just paper pad. So I'm using this burlap maple leaves and I'm going to be attaching them as my leaves. So what I'm doing here is, as you can see, this stem, I just want to use this also to its advantage instead of hiding it. So I'm using this dowel to create the curl and voila. So I'll just hot glue that onto the stem like so. It's not to be wasteful because this is too large for this. As you could see, I am just going to be doing a cutout, but instead of cutting this full piece, I have a leftover from my other project where I created the lighted glass pumpkins, and I'm going to be inserting it here too, but I'm just going to do a small cutout here for my green maple leaves. Using the stem of this old leaf, or the leftover leaf, I'm curling it again with my dowel rod to create the curl, you know, just to add a little bit of dimension. And then I'm going to be hot gluing it under the green maple leaf that I just cut out. And also what I'm going to do with the raffia bow that I removed from the back or the original front of this chipboard pumpkin, I'm going to be also putting it or placing it at the center of these two leaves. Next, I'm wrapping my hula hoop with the nautical ropes. Actually, this was from my spring wreath hula hoop project, and in that project I just wrapped the nautical rope on the upper half and then put the flowers at the bottom half. But I think I prefer it to wrap it again with nautical rope all around so that it will have a better finish and a better backdrop for the burlap leaves, as well as an attachment for my chipboard pumpkin. So it'll be a better finish and more stable hula hoop base all around. So in this project you probably need 2 1/4 rolls of nautical ropes. As you could see, I have a gap there. I only had 2 and then probably a little bit of nautical rope from a previous project that I had left over. Otherwise it would have been full. But that's okay. I'm going to be using that as a top. That's a good thing about having a rounded project. I'm going to be putting there a bow later on to cover that gap. So I am going to be placing my burlap maple leaves. So I'm using the green maple leaves as well as those smaller khaki colored or light brown maple leaves to alternate. I didn't get the khaki colored big ones. I kind of like it alternating with the smaller type of maple leaves so that there's some variation not only in colors but also in shape. So I'm also curling the ends. I am not wrapping it around the hula hoop base. I'm using it to add dimension. I am just hot gluing the back of each maple leaf that I am attaching onto the rope. And that's the reason why it's important to wrap the rope around, because many of the rope will show. Okay. So here what I'm doing is I'm adding, I think this is cattails if I'm not mistaken. I'm sorry if I don't know the actual name of this foliage, but this is also in the fall flowers section. So instead of wrapping the whole stem, I am going to be tying it with some twine that I also got at the Dollar Tree so that it will have a better hold. Then I am going to be attaching my painted pumpkins, and I painted 2 small size and then a pack of 3 of the burnt orange clip-on pumpkins that I got at the Dollar Tree as well. I painted them, and I'm going to be removing the clip-ons, and I'm going to be just placing them at random here on this wreath. I just want to point out how I created that stem for my painted pumpkin. I used a shopping or grocery bag and just cut out a piece where there's no print, and then I just twisted it to look like a stem. I am just going to be cutting out a small piece of leaf, and I am going to be adding it onto this painted pumpkin. You can do that, or you can just leave it as is. It will be fine with or without the leaf on the pumpkin. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue on to the right of this pumpkin to add the alternating green and brown or khaki colored maple leaves on the hula hoop wrapped with the nautical rope. And my apologies everyone, because I seem to have had a malfunction on the camera because it didn't record when I connected everything together as well as the pumpkin. But here's how it looked. What I've done is, like I said, I put the pumpkins at random and then repeated the leaves on the right side, and they're just half filled with leaves. I didn't put it all around because the nautical rope is a good decoration on its own so that it's not so busy. And then I hot glued in the middle to the bottom of my chipboard pumpkin, and I hot glued it under the hula hoop. Okay, so that's not sitting above because I already put my decorations there, so it's under the hula hoop itself. And here's how it with the bow. That was a pre-made bow, but you can certainly make one on your own. The Dollar Tree sells burlap ribbons in rolls that you can easily make into bows. So I hope you enjoyed this video, everyone. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please share to anyone who may be interested in this kind of look. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. Please subscribe to my channel, and also don't forget to click that notification bell once it appears after you click on the subscribe button so that you will not miss any of my new uploads. So I hope you enjoyed this video, everyone, and I'll see you again next week for another Thrifty Thursday. Bye!